Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. The Israelites have been scattered across the four corners of the earth, as prophesied in Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. Here in Israel United in Christ, we need your help to recover the remnant of our people, teach them the gospel. Please help us, support us, and join or donate to the Booster Club today. Shalom.
Keeping these laws, cause you know we fed God. How you could be a trick Christ, just like bank cards. Man and man is stone fried, turn it back for broad. Stick around righteous brothers, that's a new squad. I grew up real rough, no knowledge in the hood. Wasn't deeming no good. Isaiah 4 and 2. Blood touching blood, brothers blind to the truth.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. The thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
Read it again.
The thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done, that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
It says the thing that have been, and that which is that which shall be. And the thing which was done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. How many of you heard the term history repeats itself? It does. And it might not be always through the same nation, but history does repeat itself, especially for us. We've been enslaved through various captivities, and we have been repeating the same cycle. Well, all praises to the Most High. This is the last cycle of us actually going into captivity, but history always repeats itself. And one of the spirits that we read about in the Bible, which is Babylon, the spirit of Babylon, it actually is here today. It repeats itself. Reason why we're going over this topic, because a lot of people say that Babylon is over there in Iraq today. They say that's the Babylon the Great that Revelation is referring to. It's not. Babylon the Great is America in the Bible. It's the USA. Babylon the Great is America. So when John the Revelator saw the woman of harlot, the woman that's sitting on the scarlet beast, he was seeing America in the spirit. So we're going to go through the comparison. We're going to go to modern day, we're going to touch on Babel, and we're going to go to the Tower of Babel, and we're going to touch on Babylon, and we're going to go right into America. We're going to show you different examples of how this is actually what the scripture prophesied about. Let's go from that to the book of Romans 15, verse 4.
Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning.
So whatsoever things were written aforetime, they were written for our learning. Read on.
That we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
So everything that was, and it's funny that it's written this way because, again, like we mentioned before, everything repeats itself. So the same solutions that worked back then for our forefathers to get out of different predicaments is going to work now. I don't know how we get this day and age where we find out the laws, we get to do away with them when it never worked for our fathers to do away with them. This is the reason why we were enslaved. So how do we get to the point in time now where we try to come up with a new idea? The laws don't work, we got to get rid of them, when that's the reason why we're in captivity today. The same instructions applies, the same solution applies. Everything that was written aforetime was written for our learning. Read on.
Now, the God of patience,
in the verse 4,
comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
So this is how we have hope. This is how we have comfort, knowing that this kingdom is on its way out. And you notice that nobody in the church, in the Christian churches, is talking about Babylon. Like it doesn't matter. Like you can read about everything else in the Bible. God loves everybody. Jesus is love, or God is love. But nowhere in the gospel or in their gospel, Babylon the Great is mentioned. Like they don't give our people the sense of the reading. Like, they don't give them the fear that's coming, the judgment that's coming. They leave that part out. And then when these things happen, they look at it like, well, it's the devil that these things happen, because I never heard about this in the church. So they don't even know how to look for salvation, because they don't see it as salvation. They look at it they look at the judgment that's coming of the devil. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to attack Christ when they come. I'm talking about Christians, because they really don't know the voice of the Lord or what to look for as for salvation, because they never heard that Babylon will be destroyed. They're going to think that all hope is lost. They're not going to have an answer. But this is the reason why we go over these topics, because to show you that what we're living in today, and Deacon touched on it earlier within this class, the times that we are living in now, we're living in a very troubling time. We're living in Babylon the Great. Okay, so let's draw from that. Let's get right into it. Let's get the book of Genesis, chapter 11, verse 1. Genesis chapter 11, verse 1. We'll start with the Tower of Babel.
The book of Genesis, chapter 11 and verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar.
Okay, so it says the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Check out the spirit of this empire. It says the whole earth was of one language. What was that language? That was Hebrew. It said the whole earth was of one language and one speech. What is that going into? Because if they was already of one language, why would they come around and say they are the same speech? What is that talking about? Real quick, let's get Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 9. This is actually going to repeat itself in the kingdom of heaven. Everybody's going to be of one speech. We're going to come back to that pure language. And guess what? Everybody's going to be of one speech. But what is that one speech? Let's get what's going to happen within the kingdom or Christ's reign. Zephaniah 3, verse 9.
Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 9. For then will I turn to my people a pure language.
Okay, so back to where we were in the book of Genesis, that pure language, or that one language, that's Hebrew. Read on.
That they may all call upon the name of the Lord, to serve him with one consent.
So not only will we have one language, we are going to serve with the same mind and one consent. So going back to Genesis chapter 11, this is what they were doing. They had one language, and they were all believing in the same ideas. They would have one thing in common. Let's build this tower, let's unite together, and let's be against God. They built the tower for what reason? We're going to read it. But they all had one language. Does that sound similar? Everybody's trying to come back to this one common language that's here in America. What is that? English, right? All right? And what is also that language? The internet. Okay, y'all with me? Internet. That's the language that everybody is speaking. What do I mean by that? This is how they're able to exchange ideas from different countries to one to another. And they're able to come up with this one understanding through internet. Evil being communicated. Christmas is way over there in Pakistan. Christmas is way over there in China. The one language that this whole world shares is the internet, or the network that we use when we go on Google. That's the one language.
Primarily through iPhones.
Primarily through iPhones or Android, however you want to type.
Not Android.
Both of them. It's all the same mess. Let's go back to Genesis.
And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven.
So this was the mindset of the king. I want y'all to understand that. They was all agreeing with the king. Who was that king? That was Nimrod. His idea was to reach up into the heavens. He wanted to become like unto God. So the idea of the people became the same. Little do we know that we're building the empire, we're invested in the kingdom, which is America, where we're trying to exalt them to be like unto God. So when you invest your time in America and you're taking part of their politics and their democracy, you're actually building a part of their tower to push them to be like unto God. It's the same idea. It's the same customs. So there's no God bless America. You either against America because God is against it, because it's a sinful kingdom, or you're supporting it. That's the only two roads to it. Read on.
And the Lord came down. No, hold on. And let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole
And
earth.
back then, their idea was to build a tower so it would elevate them, because they tried to prevent the flood from happening again, because God destroyed the whole earth, where he caused a flood to cover the whole face of the earth. So he said, you know what? We're going to build a tower so that way when the waters come again, it won't touch us. Same idea. This time, this is how you know they read the Bible. They know the destructions to come again. They know it's not going to be through water, but through fire. That's why they have their underground bunkers. Or they're just trying to leave this place all together. They're going to leave us here, but we already know we have salvation. And this is the information they keep to themselves.
Outer space too.
Outer space as well. Let's read on.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one.
Matter of fact, real quick, get that in Genesis chapter 17, 7 verse 17. I'd rather just read it. This is why they built the tower.
Genesis chapter 7 and verse 17. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased, and bare up the ark, and it was lifted above the earth.
Read on.
And the waters prevailed, and were increased greatly upon the earth. And the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth. And all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the waters prevail. And the mountains were covered. And all the flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle, and of beast and of creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. And every man, all in whose nostrils was the breath of life, of all that was in the dry land, died.
So this is the reason why they had the thought of building the tower. Let's go back to that real quick and read verse 4 again.
Genesis chapter 11 and verse 4. And they said, go to, let us build a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
That's the reason for building the tower. Lest we be scattered upon the face of the whole earth. So to prevent this from happening again, let us build a tower, a protection, so we can establish that city that we once had. And that city was wicked. The whole world was wicked. That's the reason why he flooded the earth. But they had in their mind that they wanted to do what they wanted to do, and they wanted to be like unto God, so therefore they built the tower. Let's read on. You're going to read all the way down to verse 9.
Verse 5. And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men built. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, from which they imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth. And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
Okay, so that's what happened to the Tower of Babel. He confused everybody's language. Therefore, they left off from building because they could not communicate. So now let's go from that to the book of Daniel's. Now you see what happened. Like, you see why God had to confound the language, because now we see in real time what would have happened if that continued, or that empire would have continued. The way we see things now in this earth, that's what it would have been going on back then after the flood. The evil that's communicated now through the media, where you have people go on Facebook and just straight up kill each other just off a comment on Facebook. You know, and it's all kinds of stuff. Knockout challenge, fire challenge. All this stuff is being communicated through on Facebook, and these children, I'm talking about from Japan to China to Africa, they go on YouTube and they can see the children over here in America doing that. You don't think they're doing that over there too because they want to be a part of the customs? It's the same language. This stuff is being communicated. That's what it would be going on back then, but God foresaw that stuff. He said, you know what? Confound their language, therefore they can't communicate with each other. Imagine if it would have got that, if it would have got this evil, it wouldn't have carried out this long. So we're actually seeing what would have been accomplished if they built the tower back then on one understanding. We see it now. This is the evidence of it. Let's go from that to Daniel chapter 1.
We want to start there.
Daniel chapter 1 verse 1.
Daniel chapter 1 and verse 1. In the third year in the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, which part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar, to the house of his God.
Y'all see that familiar name, Shinar? Shinar is where the Tower of Babel was placed. Babylon is no different. It's the same empire, different spirit, different ruler. Same philosophy. Babel and Babylon. This time it's under Nebuchadnezzar, Babylonian king. He was in Hamite. All right, read on.
And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God.
Okay, jump down to verse 3. Let's read chapter 3. Let's read verse 1 down to 6.
Daniel chapter 3 and verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits, and the breadth thereof 6 cubits. He set it up in the plain of Dura, in the province of Babylon. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king sent to gather together the princes of the governors, and the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, and all the rulers of the provinces, to come to the dedication of the image which Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up.
Okay, so this image that he set up was an image that he seen in his dream. The image was about him, so he decided to erect a god about that vision that he saw within his dream, which was a figure of him, a representation of him, meaning the head, and other empires that followed after. So he set up this image, and he had his counselors, his judges, his treasurers, and his sheriffs, and all the rulers of his providence come down and set a decree, which was what? Verse 3.
Then the princes, the governors, the captains, the judges, the treasurers, the counselors, the sheriffs, all the rulers of the provinces were gathered together unto the dedication of the image that Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. And they stood before the image that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Then the herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet.
Okay, you see what people was there, nations and languages. So it was a mixed empire. Same thing with Tower of Babel. It was a mixed empire. Same thing with America. It is a mixed empire. They call this the great melting pot, meaning all nations are here. Back then in Babylon, all nations and languages were in that empire. And he set up an image that, what? Read verse 4 again.
Verse 4, then the herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and languages, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up.
Okay, everything that's written aforetime was written for our learning. Now today, they don't set up an image. They set up a flag and they play the Star-Spangled Banner. And God forbid you don't stand up. You see what Kevin Kaepernick is getting, right? You know who the hell I'm talking about. Yes, that brother that plays football. You know what I'm talking about. Colin Kaepernick. I don't watch football. I don't care. But anyways, this is the image that they set up now. If you don't stand for the flag, you get ostracized. Right now, when he didn't stand up for that flag and he bowed down, they had brothers burning their jerseys. I mean, our people burning his jerseys because it's disrespect to their image that this modern day Nebuchadnezzar had set up. You have to fall down and honor and worship the flag. It's the same thing this empire did. It's just under a different ruler. It's a different empire with the same concept. Fall down and worship the image. The image now is the image of the beast, which is a representation of a flag. Read on.
Wherefore at that time certain Chaldeans came near and accused the Jews. They spake and said to King...
You read verse 6?
Yes, sir.
Read again.
Verse 6. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, the same hour be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace.
So back then, if you didn't worship that image that you was set up, you was literally cast into a fire. We had our three brothers that was cast into that. Hananiah, slip my name, Mishael, and then you had no, this is a Babylonian name. I'm trying to Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael. You had those, I call them Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those are bywords that was given to them. You had three brothers that was cast in that furnace because they didn't want to fall down and worship this image. Same thing that happened to our brothers today within the sports world. If they don't fall down and worship the flag, they're being ostracized. That's the fire today. That's the spiritual fire that they're putting these brothers under because they don't want to fall down and honor that flag. The same flag that they used when they killed our forefathers. Same flag. And they don't understand how can we not, they don't understand like how can we, why we don't want to fall down to that flag. They don't understand, they don't care about our history. They don't care about our feelings. All they understand is that you're here now, this is our empire, you're brought here, you might as well get over it. Honor your God. Fall down to this flag and put your hand over your heart. That's how they see it. It's their way or highway. And that's what we're living in now. At the same time, same people, but just a child of the Babylonians.
You saw that Trump made an announcement that...
Give him a microphone because we got to put this on camera. Nobody can hear you.
Shalom, leadership, happy Sabbath.
Shalom, happy Sabbath.
Micah. Trump made an announcement probably like months ago about the people who are not standing up when the national anthem is played. And he said he's going to start making them stand up. Like, it's like a command. You understand me? So Trump is going to make it where everybody is going to have to stand up to the flag.
Really?
Yes. He came out of his mouth. I was like, wow.
I didn't see that speech, but I'm pretty sure it's getting to that point. I'm pretty sure it's getting to that point. Let's get the book of Daniel chapter 4. Daniel chapter 4. I wouldn't be surprised. We're living under this race of people. They were called the children of the Babylonians. We're going to read that in a few minutes. Let's get Daniel chapter 4, verse 1.
Daniel chapter
4 and 10.
Chapter 4 and verse 10. Thus were the visions of mine heard in my bed. I saw and behold a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. The tree grew and was strong.
So right now we're reading the characteristics of Babylon, the ancient Babylon. This is the characteristics of it. This is another dream that he had. But we're reading this to show you the characteristics of this empire. Read it again.
Thus were the visions of mine heard in my bed. I saw and beheld a tree in the midst of the earth, and the height thereof was great. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven.
Same thing. You see that, right? Same thing we just read in Genesis 11. Read on.
And the sight thereof to the end of all the earth.
Read.
The leaves thereof were fair, and the fruit thereof much. In it was meat for all. The beast of the field had shadow under it.
The beast, when you're talking about the beast in this scripture right here, is talking about the nations. It's not talking about actual animals. Okay, this is talking about men. And the beast of the field had a shadow under it, meaning they had to rest under it. Read on.
And the fowls of the heaven dwelt in the bowls thereof, and all flesh was fed of it.
Okay, and all flesh was fed of it, meaning all nations, they benefited off of Babylon at that time. They had a place in that empire. Same thing we are experiencing now in this land. Let's jump to verse 20 to 22.
Daniel chapter 4 and verse 20.
Now he's going to interpret the dream. It's going to become a lot clearer.
The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the sight thereof to all the earth, whose leaves was fair, and the fruit thereof much. And in it was meat for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven had their habitation. It is thou, O king, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown, and reacheth unto heaven, and thy dominion is to the end of the earth.
Now I had a video I was going to play on this right here, but it says Nebuchadnezzar at that time, he said he was grown, he was in representation, when you look at verse 22, in representation of that tree, it was talking about him. He was grown and it became strong, and his greatness was grown, and his empire reached unto the heaven, and his dominion throughout all the earth. There was a video I was going to play to show you that the USA Army, do you not know that they have a military base in pretty much 90% of the earth? In every country they have a military base. People will say, and they'll take the focus off America and say, well, it's over there in modern day Iraq. America is the only country that I know that is in everybody's land and telling them that they cannot sell, they cannot trade, and set an embargo where other countries can't even trade with them. What other empire on the earth is doing that like America? It's showing you that this is a superpower. This is the country that we're living in is a superpower. This country is what John the Revelator saw within his dream. It says, when Babylon reigned, their dominion reached from the ends of the earth. Same thing with this place. Now real quick, let's get the prophecy. Psalm chapter 137, verse 1. It's the same thing. Let's get that real quick. Let's get the prophecy. Psalms 137, verse 1.
The book of Psalms, chapter 137 and verse 1. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down. Yea, we wept when we remembered Zion. We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof.
So what we read earlier, we were just giving you different characteristics. Is I want you to remember these things. I want you to remember everything that we read about these two kingdoms. And now let's go into America. It says, by the rivers of Babylon we sat, and we wept, and we remembered Zion. This is talking about us going into captivity. Read on.
We hanged our harps upon the willows in the midst thereof. But there, they that carried us away captive required of us a song.
And we experienced this also in captivity. They called us, a lot of our brothers, they called them fiddlers. They were playing music for the slave master. A lot of them required of us a song. They wanted us to sing for them. Same thing today within the music world. We are their entertainment. They want us to sing for them. They want us to rap for them. They want us to play basketball for them. They want us to act for them. It's the same spirit. Same spirit upon our oppressors today. Read on.
And
it's a prophecy about this spirit they have. Read on.
And they that wasted us required of us myrrh.
And they want us to be happy within our condition. They say, well, why you ain't bowing foot to the flag? Your forefathers, they died to be in the fighting in the army. No, a lot of them went to the army to escape oppression. A lot of them thought that there was a better opportunity. A lot of them were forced in the army. A lot of them died on the front lines. So we wasn't cheerful about joining their army. A lot of us wasn't cheerful about joining their armies. We were forced into that thing. And a lot of the brothers you see today with no arms, we were just on our way back to the school today. We saw one of our Hispanic brothers with his arm blown off. I could tell he was a vet too. His arm, he had his arm was missing from his elbow down. Everything was gone. And he's out there with American flags and Puerto Rican flags trying to sell them on the street. Like, that's our payment for war. Like, at the end of the day, fighting for them, that's the end result. And he can't get no help from it. Can't go to the VA because they ain't no help. This is what we receive after that. We have no place in this empire. But then they still expect of us mirth to be happy about our condition. When you had a black president, what you complaining about? They want us to be happy. They required of us mirth. The same spirit. God is telling you they spirit. Read on.
Hey, Cap, and every time I know somebody going to the military, 98% of the time when Jake going to the military, it's a business decision. Yeah. And it ain't because I love America, I want to serve the country. They broke. I got a cousin, he's like, yeah, man, I got to get in before I'm too old. It's the best thing out there. I got nothing to go to.
It's either sports or the military. Right. That's it. Dribble a basketball, throw a football, or the military. That's it. I was in the same position. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was going to the military. I was there. So it is our mindset. It's either sports or the military. That's the way we see it. But we accomplished so much in history that we don't even have to look at these two as an option. We can accomplish so much. But hey, that's another topic. That's another topic within itself. Let's read verse 4.
Verse 4. How shall we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? If I forget thee, O Jerusalem, let my right hand forget her cunning. If I do not remember thee, let my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. If I prefer not Jerusalem above my chief joy. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom.
Everybody know who Edom is. Raise your hand who don't know who Edom is. If you're not familiar with who is Edom, raise your hand by the show of hands. I'll quickly explain it. I think for the most part we understand who this nation is. Esau is everybody, you understand who this character is? All right, everybody know. I'm gonna just say it for the camera. Esau is a so-called white race. They're a European race, according to the Bible. You read Genesis 25, also read the book of Obadiah. That's the race that God said that, read on, matter of fact, it's in verse 8. Read on, verse 7 again.
Verse 7, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
Read.
O daughter of Babylon.
God is calling that race the daughter of Babylon. We're going to revisit the same title that he gave him in Psalms 137 in Isaiah. It says, O daughter of Babylon. Read on.
Who ought to be destroyed. Happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
That's all I wanted out of that. To get them to read that they are called the daughter of Babylon. So now when we go to Revelation, Revelation 17, verse 1.
Revelation chapter 17 and verse 1. And there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication.
Okay, it's called the great whore because it is involved in every other philosophy you can think of, from every empire, from Egypt to Assyria to Persian and Medes to Greek mythology, everything you can think of, they take hold of some type of custom. It's called the whore. Just like the nation of Israel was considered whores when we went into idolatry. It says you're a nation of whoredoms because we went into different idolatries or different philosophies. So it's called the great whore because this place is an abomination within itself. And it says it sitteth upon many waters. The waters represents people, nations. Read on.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
We'll read that and explain that a little later. Read on.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Okay, for those of you that want to write this down, I'm not going into this today. This is a heavy topic within itself. I'm not doing it. I do it another time, but you can write this down. It says, and there was a woman arrayed in purple and scarlet. Actually, verse 3. And he carried me away in the spirit in the wilderness, and I saw a woman, which was the kingdom, America, sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. That's a red beast in representation of this nation. It came out of the womb red. It says, scarlet-colored beast, and full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Here's the 7 heads. Be ready to write it down. You have Greece, Rome, Spain, France, Germany, Russia, and Great Britain. Okay? I'm going to repeat it again. Greece, Rome, Spain, France, Russia, Germany, and Russia, and Great Britain. Okay, and those 10 horns represent the European Union. They are also known as the 10 common markets. Okay, that's what that beast is going into. Okay, read on, verse 4.
Revelation chapter 7 and verse 4. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth.
This is why she was called the mother of harlots. I mean, because of the abominations that she committed with every other race upon this earth. And also the races taking part of her philosophies. Now let's get the book of Revelations 18, chapter 18. Let's read verse 1 to 3.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils.
So the reason why you've seen all these wars going on, the things happen within America, is fallen. It's a broken empire. It can't be fixed. There's no such thing as God bless America. This place is finished, and it's falling in increments. So you're not going to see a total fall where it's finished and it's going to be obvious. It's going to fall within itself. Okay, it's going to look like it's standing, but inside it's crumbling. That's why they already know what time it is. You look what they're doing on YouTube to our videos. You got to literally search for the video that you want. You cannot no longer type in IUIC and all the videos come up. You got to have the videos. You got to search by name for them. Back then, you didn't have to do that. They flagging all the videos, taking down all the videos. They're trying to limit the understanding that's coming out. A lot of the stuff, the website keep jacking up. A lot of stuff they're doing on purpose. They're trying to limit the understanding that is coming out because they know that they have a short time. It says, it is fallen, read on.
And it's become the habitation of devils.
Read.
And the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
Okay, read on, verse 3.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornications, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
Okay, read on.
The merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
Okay, jump up again, read verse 1. Read verse 3 again.
Verse 3.
Uh-huh.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication.
Okay, let's read about that wine real quick. Something going on with this mic. Let's read Micah chapter 2, verse 11.
Micah chapter 2 and verse 11. If a man walking in the spirit and falsehood do lie.
A man walking in the spirit and falsehood do lie, falsehood and lies, read on.
Saying, I will prophesy unto thee of wine and of strong drink. He shall even be the prophet of this people.
So the falsehood and lies was the wine that he was prophesying of. So when it says, all nations have drunk the wine of her wrath, it's talking about her philosophies, her falsehood, her lies. We're going to get some of those in a few minutes. Let's get the fornication. Let's get the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Let's get Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14 and verse 12.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. Read on.
And the invention of them, the corruption of life.
Okay, now real quick, here's a question I have. And I'm asking this question for a reason. Because I want to show you, I'm going to ask the question. In verse 3, back in Revelations 18, who is the nations in this verse that are drunken with the wine of her philosophies? Who are the nations in this verse? Let me get the mic on the other side for the mic. Who are the nations in Revelations 18 verse 3? I'm asking this question for a reason.
Shalom, leadership.
Shalom.
It's the other nations, all the other nations, especially the ones that are in the 10 common markets.
Okay, all right, let me get somebody else. Let me get Isaiah's.
Shalom.
Be specific, like everybody that you can think of. Just name the races. Who's in verse 3?
I'm just going to go with all the nations in Psalms 83 that counseled against us.
Okay. All right, somebody else. Let me get Brother Jonathan. Again, be specific.
Shalom.
Everybody that you can think of.
Shalom, leadership. Like you said, specifically other countries such as like China, Russia maybe, or maybe Africa, like other countries, you know, other corporations that they are like trade with other nations, other countries such as that.
Okay. I gotta say your name again, brother.
Elijah.
Elijah. You changed your name.
Yeah.
All praise it, Elijah. Okay.
Like he said, the Ishmaelites.
Say Ishmaelites?
Yeah, the Ishmaelites. Like he said in Psalms 83.
Think of the nation. Just
any.
You can name them literally. Chinese. So who else?
Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, the so-called white folks.
Okay.
The Arabs.
All right. Okay, brother, you cool. And then I'm gonna go to the sisters. Y'all can answer the question. Y'all brothers mind if y'all wife answer the question? No? Just raise your hand if you don't want your wife to answer the question. Move on to the next sister. Y'all can answer the question.
Speaking of all nations, you cannot even buy oil without using the U.S. dollar.
Okay, I understand that, but I want to know who's these nations in verse 3. I'm doing this for a reason. Right here, right behind. And then we'll go to the sister.
All right, shalom, leadership. You said be Pacific, so you go with Greece, Rome, Spain, Germany, Great Britain, and France.
All right, okay. It's exactly where I imagined this, the way this question was going to go to. Eliel.
Talking to UN, because the United States don't
obey the UNs. They don't do nothing the UN say.
Okay. All right, couple more. I don't want to be on the. Give me Brother Gerard. He ain't say yet. Sisters, y'all don't know? I come on this side. Gerard, you last one on the brother side. I'm gonna go to this.
All right, I'm gonna say all nations that deals with as far as the trading and the policies with America, like everybody who deals with them financially.
Okay, all right.
Trades.
All right, okay. All right, the sister side. I'm gonna take a couple because I don't want to be too long on it. I'm doing this for a reason. I'm doing this for a reason. I take two more on this side. 3 more on this side. Y'all ain't forget my question, right?
Well, I would say all nations.
You remember my question?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I would say all nations pertaining to the scripture because it says all nations. So
who is that?
Everybody, like Israelites too.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. I'm gonna show you, and the reason why I put it that way, we've been here so long, we don't even include ourselves in that. Like we look at it like, well, that's just everybody else. I ain't caught up in the wine and philosophy. Yes, we are. And that show you that we've been here too long because we don't even see ourselves within that verse. We just look at everybody else and well, it ain't happening to us. Yes, it is. We are the nation within that verse. Remember it says in Jeremiah, it says, these 2 nations you have took for yourself, talking about Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom. That's another topic, we'll get into it. But we are included in verse 3. To me, that was a big deal. I'm like, when I was going over the class, I was putting together like, what other nations, like we in this verse? Like I did it myself, I'm like, I forgot to include myself in it. I said, I'm gonna ask this question. And I see that we are all thinking the same way. We don't even see ourselves in this thing. We've been here too long in this land. We don't even see ourselves engulfed in this lies and this fornication. Let's go back to Revelation.
And because we don't even see ourselves as a nation. We don't see ourselves as we see ourselves as like the Americans junk like that.
That too. That's a great point. So read verse 3 again.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies.
So it says all nations took part of this thing, of her wine and her fornication. Just real quick, let's get the videos. I'm gonna show you, give a tour around the earth real quick, and just let's get the outside view of how people feel about America, or what they're doing that came from the Western world.
In China now, there's less disappointment than curiosity over Christmas since it's not a traditional holiday, but that's not stopping businesses from cashing in on the season's commercial potential. Grace Brown reports from Beijing.
Like many Western traditions, Christmas is catching on in China, but they do it a little differently. You're more likely to see a saxophone or guitar playing Santa than a classic nativity display. For a generation of Chinese under increasingly high pressure, it's a chance to have fun and an excuse to spend.
Yeah, I celebrate Christmas. I go out, eat with friends, and go shopping. I spend around 7,000 yuan on clothes at Christmas. The history, I'm not too clear on it. It's a foreigners' festival. We just like celebrating it. It's fun.
Christmas in China is less about the birth of Jesus and more about the presents. The main form of celebration is shopping, and for retailers here,
They're in China celebrating Christmas. Christmas is a European custom. There ain't no Chinese in the Christmas story. Like Jack Frost was not a Chinese, none of them was. Not even the elves when you look at the Christmas movie. The Christmas story, none of that. There was no Chinese in that. They can't even give you the history behind Christmas and tell you why they celebrate it. Why? Because they're drunken with the falsehood and lies of America. That's way in China. Get the other one real quick.
It's Christmas Day for Christians all over the world. Traditionally, it's a time of hope and peace, and that's true also in war-ravaged Syria, despite the grim daily reality in many parts of the country. But despite the carnage, Syrians are showing festive unity best they can and expressing hope for a peaceful future. Mahmoud Ghazdiev reports next from Damascus.
Thank you. It's Christmas Day in Damascus, and celebrations are in full swing. Everybody's determined to make the most of this opportunity because the last 5 years haven't been very kind to Christians in Syria. There are 400,000 of them in Damascus, 10% of the Syrian population. And with the civil war, they especially have had a hard time.
But not today.
I feel great. We feel safe here. Thanks to the army and police, my family can walk the streets in peace.
Things are changing, and I feel this year will be better for us all.
We are celebrating our unity, our army, our country.
I feel sorry for all who were forced to flee, to leave their homes, but I have hope yet for Syria.
I can only hope my child has a better life here in Syria.
Things will return to how they were, but Syria will take a long time to heal.
Hope and revelry were everywhere.
Scenes like this are playing out all over Damascus. You have celebrations, festivals, concerts taking place in Christian neighborhoods, in public squares, and even Muslims are joining in.
These shopkeepers' children, for example, are Muslim, yet wearing Christmas hats, which they insisted I also put on.
We've all come together. I don't care about Sunni or Muslims or Christians. The most important thing is that we're all celebrating, and Syria will again become what it was.
They're in the Middle East celebrating Christmas. Again, read Revelations again, 18:3.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy.
You can't tell me this Bible ain't real. You can't tell me that. I don't know what other book told me how real what's going on is true. They know the Quran ain't show me that right there. Ain't nobody in Iraq trying to figure out the customs of Iraq. They trying to come over here and they trying to take hold of philosophy over here, the doctrines over here. Joseph's Prince. This dude is a Japanese Christian pastor. Like, I don't know no other country that they are trying to go over there and adopt their ways other than America. This is the USA that John the Revelator saw in the spirit. I got more on this thing. You gotta say something?
Yeah. And also, I always go into music and movies.
Oh, we got it. We got it.
I know. I just want to say this. World tours. Do the Chinese man do world tours in America, or do our American artists go all over the world? We go all over the world. Beyonce can go anywhere in the world and sell out. But the little pancake booty Chinese woman come here, nobody will show up. Nobody will show up.
Ooh.
Nobody will show up. That's true, right?
Ooh, pancakes.
Black Panther. Black Panther. Showed all over the world. Somebody show me the Chinese Black Panther. And why is it not in the theaters? Never seen it. But our influence is everywhere else. So if anybody tell you Babylon is not here, they're lying. Because their influence, if they say it's Rome, I don't know anything about Roman culture. If they say it's what is Great Britain, the UK, their culture is not here. Our culture is everywhere else. Everybody dress, talk, sing to our tune. It's not the other way around. Well, I'm saying our America's tune.
So go to the other videos. We got some more. Now hold up, what this is? Now this is a this brother here. He's a Hamite. He's from where is he from? He up there close to Egypt. Like he's up like Africa. I ain't talking about no west coast of Africa. He's in deep in Africa. He's in there. Yeah, he's up there. So this is a Hamite, no doubt about it. But I want you to listen to the lyrics of this song. Play this real.
Emily, Facebook. I'm a movie star, baby. They call me Mr. Easy, cause I'm ready to take you to the movie that you like. In 3D, maybe. Let me know you for a while. I got the popcorn ready for us. What's your name? Where you live? Let's see the.
Yeah, this song is dedicated to all the ladies out there who like to meet me in Facebook. You know, especially you, girl.
I really wanna chat with you, shawty, cause you got a nice look. Yes you do. Meet me on the Facebook as soon as you can. I'll be in the net soon. You know your boyfriend. I really wanna chat with you, shawty, cause you got a nice look. Yes you do. Meet me on the Facebook as soon as you can. I'll be in the net soon. You know your boyfriend.
Hey shawty, you've been talking about me. I know that you love me. Meet me on the Facebook. Give me your email address so I can add you as a friend, then we can start chat. You can show me what you got and I can give you what I have. We can make a love through the Facebook and that's hard. If you wanna ride, let me know on the Facebook and I'll be there by your side. Baby, you're so fun, I wanna make you mine. You got a nice look. If you wanna chat with me, meet me on the Facebook and let's ride.
I really wanna chat with you, shawty, cause you got a nice look. Yes you do. Meet me on the Facebook as soon as you can. I'll be in the net soon. You know your boyfriend. I really wanna chat with you, shawty, cause you got a nice look. Yes you do. Meet me on the Facebook as soon as you can. I'll be in the net soon. You know your boyfriend.
The conversation was good on the Facebook. She was trying to show me her love and I was trying to make her smile. She was chatting with me for a while, telling me what's going down. I told her nothing much, I'm just around. I got a lot of things in my mind. I wanna see my girl, but I got no time. The best thing for me to chat with her online and make her feel fine. Baby, let's make a date so I can take you to my place, having a dinner in nice plate. And how you like that?
I really wanna chat with you, shawty, cause you got a nice look. Yes you do. Meet me on the Facebook as soon.
He said, meet me on Facebook, give me an email address and all this other stuff. And again, this is a Hamite. Do y'all see the connection? Is it me? Do y'all see that? Like what other country is, like I don't even know what social chat they use in Iraq to say I want to join it. Talking about with a music video. Girl, meet me on the Tel Aviv so we can talk. Play the next one real quick.
Yeah, YMCMB معنا. I'm ready. Give me mic. Give me gun man. I'm ready. هشمك جميع من إذا كنت تريد أن تعرف اسمي. ذكر وعمري ما نوخر من خصمي. جانجستا الخوف من ربي بس. هصلة نخطف حتى في النفس. ليش عاندتوني؟ ليش نبشتوني؟ مادام عارفين نروح كم كلاب ما تقدروني. غادي يفوتوني جيراني طير شر. نجي كم مجوني كان نويتوا العلن. باقي مسني من جهتين وين ماشي قول لي ويني. صاروا يمين وعيين قاعدين درايق يرقصن شايفين. الشو سمح مانع ما يكذب عليك حد. خليني نقول لك اللي قال انتو وراني نحكي جد. وانا صاحب الكلمة اللي تحرق مرة في جدير تبرك. كان حطيتك في راسي في وسط حوشك نزرك. فاك اوليو احترامي للناس اللي تقدر. انا جنبي ناس تنفذ مش كيفك سيتك يوقف. عقو هدية مني تحية لكل الناس اللي تسمع فيه. ونقول لك اللي بي جديد مان عشان شوية. خليني نقول الخطر المرة اللي يلزمنا نديروها. الفكرة بسيطة اشكال عبيطة يلزمنا نصفوها. كان بامكاني بلساني اني نحتل العالم بالكامل. وكان كلامي سائل من ويراه المايك حامل أمان I'm a big boss كاني مولود في أمريكا راني نعاند في الكلاس Welcome to the hell تشيني جو خلوك انا منافذ قفزنا عايق عادي بالجو امسك نفسك عيش نمعيش اصلي والجنقل على الفلو هاجم مستك فارس الحرب يعزك لو متيش نجارة انفجار نار استعمار رز حار وعر شكله طبعا نحكي لك عالفيه
Now real quick, read Revelations 18.
Revelation chapter 18 and verse 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
And the kings of the earth have committed fornications with her. Now give me the other video real quick. Now I want you to hear what they say about this place.
From the Western perspective, whenever you think about Asia, the country that inevitably pops up is China, which many say will surpass America as their #1 economy in the not-too-distant future. But for such a big country, we rarely get the opportunity to hear directly from ordinary Chinese people on many issues. So in this video, we're gonna ask the Chinese how they feel about the United States, especially since the tensions between these two superpowers seem to be on the rise. For more, let's go to Sherry, our Asian boss reporter in Shanghai.
一说到美国，你脑海里面第一个反应出来是什么样的形象呢？
留学。
对，小美。
美国篮球啊， 嘻哈。自由，然后比较具有想象力、创造力的一个国家吧。
比较民主，还有就是美国总统只要有钱就可以当了。
印象不好，非常差，对，不是我们东方人的地方。
你觉得美国这个国家给你带来个什么样子的感觉？这个感觉是怎么会形成的呢？
感觉文化比较自由一点吧，可能每个人有好的创意都会拿出来分享给大家。在中国可能大家都比较不太愿意去交流，
思想比较奔放。还有就是像这种娱乐体育方面发展的也比较好，什么好莱坞啊、NBA 啊。川的话应该就科技方面嘛，因为我们可能身边用的最多的，比如说手机方面嘛，就大家可能用 iPhone 比较多。
You see that? And this video goes on for days. This is how they feel about this place. This is Babylon. Read it again. Read it again.
Revelation.
Let's read verse 3 again. We're gonna go from that to Isaiah.
For all nations have drunk of the wine of her fornication.
Let's get Isaiah 45:7. I meant 47, verse 1.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 47 and verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon.
It says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Virgin daughter of Babylon. Daughter of Babylon. Showing you what empire this is going into. This is Esau. That's the daughter of Babylon. So when we're reading this verse right here, it ain't talking about ancient Babylon. It's talking about Esau, his empire, America. It says, come down from your position, meaning your rule within the earth, sit in the dust. You're no longer going to have a reputation of a place where the NBA, iPhones, entertainment, where you can become a rich president. All that whole idea about you is going to be brought down. That's what he says. Come down, sit in the dust. Read on.
There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans.
It says, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. Real quick, give me the book of Psalms 94, verse 20. Psalms chapter 94, verse 20. Going back to what I stated earlier.
The book of Psalms, chapter 94 and verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee?
This place right here is the throne of iniquity. America promotes and exalts every sin that God tells us not to do in the Bible. Here. Every sin, every law they have broken in this land. And it's set on the pinnacle. It says, the throne of iniquity shall have no fellowship with thee. Talking about the Lord. Read on.
Which frameth mischief by a law.
And certain laws protect the sins within this land. If you speak about sodomy, it's labeled as a hate crime. They frame mischief by law. This is talking about the empire that we're living in today. This is the day that our forefathers dreaded to see, because this place is going to go out through nuclear fire. It says, going back to Isaiah 47, verse 1, read again.
Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne.
So how are we saying God bless America? When God is going to destroy this America, he says after that they're going to have no throne. America, that's what we got to understand. They're not voting Christ in when he comes. They're not holding the seat for him like, oh, we just holding it down till you got here. Trump was the last one, now you here. This seat was waiting on you the whole time. We was warming it up for you. They ain't doing that. Their inward thought is that their house shall continue forever. Christ will be interrupting their empire. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to fight against him, and they're going to use the same tactics that Babylon and Babel did before. Fight against God. They don't want him to rule because it brings them down. But it's too late. He says they're going to be no more throne for them. This is why Christ set upon his head crowns, because he threw them down. Read on.
For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate.
Meaning the reputation that we just saw that other nations have for this place. Read on.
Take the millstones and grind meal. Uncover thy locks. Make bare the leg. Uncover the thigh. Pass over the river.
So, in other words, he was telling America they are going to get to work. The people that set up this empire, they're going to get to work. They're going to be brought down. They're going to be put through labor. That's what it's saying. Read on.
Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man.
Okay, meaning he's not going to meet them as a man. The Lord ain't coming back to have a plea bargain with them. He's going to come back and destroy them. Read on.
As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms.
Going back to what we read earlier about Babylon, how it sat upon many waters. It was a great tree that grew and spread throughout the earth. It says America was called the Lady of Kingdoms, meaning she's over everything. She dictates everything throughout the earth. Or when war breaks out, who do they call America? They call America. Every time war breaks out, well, let's get America over here. America's involved in everything they do overseas. This is a place they keep it not at home. They're in everybody's country. That's why we call it the Lady of Kingdoms. Read on, verse 6.
I was wroth with my people. I have polluted mine inheritance and given them into mine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy.
That's what we're going through now. The hell that we're catching over here, this is that verse. When one verse, this is what he's saying. Read on.
Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke.
Meaning the ancient, meaning the old of our people. They have not had mercy upon them either. They had no respect of person when it regarded us. They enslaved us all. Read on.
And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart. Neither didst thou remember the latter end of it. Therefore hear now this, that thou art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am and none else beside me.
Meaning they're trying to take on the title of God, because that's God's name, I am. So they try to present themselves as I am, saying I'm God. There's none other but we. That's what they're saying. It says, and they dwelt carelessly, and they said in their heart, I am, and there's none other but us. Read on.
I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
So this empire said within the spirit, like, war ain't touching this land, neither shall I have the loss of children. Meaning nations going to keep coming here, sharing their wealth, and nothing's going to touch our land. This is what they're saying in their inward mind. Read on.
But these two things shall come to thee in a moment.
What's
in
that
one
moment?
day.
In one moment. In one day. Read on.
The loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection for the multitude of thy sorceries.
What's the multitude of their sorceries? Everything that keeps us entrapped within the system. You look at, when you think about coming to America, the other nations, they think of Disney World, they think of Universal, they think of the Sea World. And then and us on this side, we look at it like, well, this captivity ain't too bad. We got the iPhone at reach, we have the Android, we can go to places like Krispy Kreme, we can go to Dunkin' Donuts, all these things that I am. Everything I want. If I just want pizza, I can just go to a pizza shop. I want cookies, they got a place just for cookies. This place ain't that bad. I gotta download an app and get a hot light, and they'll show me when donuts just came up out the grease. How many know they got that app? Krispy Kreme's got an app. It tell you when donuts just came up out the grease. It's called a hot light. Like only in America. You get an alert. Donuts just came up. Okay, all right. All right. Oh, the closest one is at Altamont. Oh man, it's right down the road. This is the only place they do that. A place just for cupcakes. I mean, everything you can imagine here to keep you comfortable and not wanting to leave. So when your redemption come, and now you have never been taught about Babylon, and now you see something coming to interrupt the whole game plan of what you thought should be established here, you're like, hell, give me a gun too. I'm fighting with America. God ain't tell us nothing about this in the Bible. This ain't God. We've come to fight against that. We're gonna help you, America. Little do we know we're fighting against our Savior. So they purposely don't tell us that America is Babylon and God is coming to destroy this place. Therefore, we can get comfortable.
Daniel chapter 5 and
verse 30.
Verse 30. In that night was Belshazzar, the king of Chaldeans, slain.
So at that time, the Babylonian kingdom was ruling. They was in they was having a good time. And that night, Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, was slain. Read on.
And Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old.
Another kingdom came in and overthrew the Babylonians. But wait a minute, let's back up real quick. And that night, the Babylonian kingdom was destroyed. But what happened during that night? Again, they are the daughter of the Babylonians. Let's see what happened during that night. Let's get that, Jeremiah 51:39. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be during the time of the sons of man. They shall be eaten, drinking, and given to marriage.
39, is it?
Verse 39.
Jeremiah chapter 51 and verse 39.
Who we talking about? Read verse 35.
Verse 35. The violence done to me and to my flesh be upon Babylon, shall the inhabitant of Zion say.
Okay, so that's who we talking about, not 39.
Verse 39. In their heat I will make their feast, and I will make them drunken.
It says, in their heat I will make their feast. In the time that they're going to be taken out, I'm going to give them a feast. I'm going to let them prosper. Okay, read on.
That they may rejoice and sleep a perpetual sleep, and not wake, saith the Lord. I will bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with he goats.
So he says that night when Belshazzar was and his empire was taken down, they was feasting. He put them on a perpetual sleep. The only thing they can focus on is how great this kingdom was. And that same night, the kingdom was translated to the Persian. That's when the Darius the Median came in. It was a transfer over to another empire. The same thing is going to happen in this land. He's going to make their heat in the time of their feast. So when it says that the day shall be like unto the sons of man like it was in Noah, don't expect concentration camps in this land. Do not expect us to be thrown in concentration camps and locked up like everything is going to be pitiful. It's too easy. Who won't wake up during that time and say, man, they was talking about this, now it's here, let me repent. Now God wanted to make it smooth. He wants you to enjoy your Starbucks coffee and keep being rebellious. He wants you to enjoy your latte until the time that he shows up. That's how he operates. He says in the heat in their feast, that's when he says in their heat he's gonna make their feast.
And you know why he wants to make it like that? So he can come like a thief in the night.
Exactly.
So he can come in unexpected, like they say in the street, catch you slipping.
Catch you in the club, coming out of the club. You don't throw all your dollar bills in the strip club, and he show up. Now you got some explaining to do. And let's get that, that's just an example. I'm just saying. It's all kinds of stuff people be doing. Ephesians 5 and 14. But we ain't doing that. We know what time it is. That's right. Ephesians 5, verse 14.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and verse 14. Wherefore he said, awake, thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light.
Meaning the mentality. Arise from the dead, the congregation of the dead. Okay, and Christ shall give thee light, meaning the laws. Read on.
See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil.
So we can't stop looking for the major event that Christ's going to show up, things get bad. No, things are already bad. That was a spirit that we was prophesying. It's falling, it's falling. It's falling now without you even seeing it's falling. We just waiting for the actual great fall. That's not just something that you're going to automatically see. It's happening now. When Christ show up, it's done. Ain't no time to repent that time. You got to do that now. That's why Scripture says, make haste to turn to the Lord. Read on.
Verse 17. Wherefore, be ye not unwise, but understanding what the will of the Lord is.
Okay, that's Psalms 40. Read on. The will is the commandments. Read on. Psalms 48. Read on.
Speaking to yourselves. No, and be not drunk with wine, wherein is excess, but be filled with the Spirit.
And be not drunk with wine, the same wine that they are pushing on these other nations. We can't be a part of those nations that's within Revelation 3. Even though it's mentioned us within it, we can't be a partakers of that. We got to see the warning for what it is and come out of it. Now let's read that real quick. Last verse. Revelation 18.
The book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 4 and 5. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plague.
Which is the fire. Read on.
For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquity.
Going back to what we read in Babel. God heard the report. He seen what they were doing. He said, you know what? We can't let this thing continue. Same report that America has. Her sins have reached up to heaven. He said, the eyes of the Lord upon a sinful kingdom. He's going to destroy it off the face of the earth. And God remembered her iniquities. Everything she did back then, when she said erase it with the Babylonians, he said, okay, you're going to pay for that as well. And also what they're doing today. But the message to us is verse 4. It says, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. This is what we got to warn our family about. The question that we got to ask, did you ever go over the topic of who is Babylon in the Bible? I would ask everybody that you know that go to the Christian church, what is Babylon in the Bible? If you don't know, then you should be afraid, because you have to prevent yourself from being sucked into this place. If you don't know what it is and what it's about, how do you know you already not? How do you know that you're not in it already? You got to look out for the signs. How do you know, and what is Babylon? That's the question I would ask for the unbelievers, or the people that's in the Christian church.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us, subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcasts, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.